Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Style Esports. My name is Diatripa, and I am joined by Baymax here on the desk as we bring you the best of three between ImPerium Academy and Stardust Crusaders.
Thank you, Diatripa. It's great to be here. I just want to quickly get this out of the way before we move forward with the draft that I apologize in advance for the many times I will mispronounce your name. It is the first time casting with you, our first time together on the virtual casting desk here, so it should be a good time, but I apologize in advance because I will surely butcher your name. That being said, oh, go ahead. So
I was going to say it'll only serve as more entertainment for the viewers, I'm sure. Really, we'll have to take guesses at which one is right at the end. I want to hear what your thoughts are in the chat. When you think he gets it right, when you think he doesn't, because it's going to be something we're keeping our eye on. But speaking of things we're keeping our eye on, this draft is well and truly underway, and I want to pass it back to you because I know you had something to say about presumably what was already going on.
Well, I was just also trying to transition it back to the draft, but you took care of that for me. We can't talk about the draft, though. First pick coming through for ImPerium. I want to talk about these teams. We are in the Demacia group right now. ImPerium Academy versus Stardust Crusaders. This is ImPerium Academy's first match played so far this season. So far, I think ever, actually, in Style Esports. And so I'm not sure what to expect from them. Stardust Crusaders are not doing too well in Demacia. They currently have a 0-3 record, so they are trying to make a name for themselves, trying to claw their way onto the leaderboard. And ImPerium is going to try to deny that in their first match ever on the Rift here, and they're starting it off with an Annie first pick, which is definitely a bit unorthodox.
I'll throw it back to you with that is a Samira first pick. That being said, though, Samira also what I'll call relatively unorthodox because we just haven't seen that much of her, and I'm still very much personally figuring out what lanes go well with her. The Nautilus going to be locked in as what I presume to be a strong bot lane. Nautilus obviously bringing a lot of crowd control and is generally a nice, we're going to slot this in as a blind pick support. In this case, though, not a blind pick because of the Leona priority the Stardust Crusaders have.
And looking more, there's the Ashe for Stardust Crusaders, which is more along the line of what I would expect from an orthodox pick. Looking at the bans that came through, not a lot of AD carry bans. Normally, we've been seeing a lot of priority on things like the Caitlyn, things like the Ashe, things like Jhin, and Samira. So far, none of those taken away. It was Kai'Sa, but all the other sort of broken AD carries left open. Ashe is one of them, gets picked up. Samira for ImPerium. This bot lane is shaping up to be quite spicy because there's a lot of engage and a lot of damage threat from both sides, right? You talk about these two massive tanky supports, the Leona and the Nautilus, who both have an incredible adeptness at diving onto the backline, at finding kills onto immobile AD carries like an Ashe, like a Samira, things that blow up quickly and don't have a lot of safety in their kits. So I'm kind of excited for the bot half of the map. I think there's going to be a lot of fireworks, but right now we sort of have both team compositions not bringing a ton of damage to the table, especially early on. We got tank junglers, solo lanes have not yet been picked. A lot of aggressive stuff getting banned away. The Tryndamere and the LeBlanc off the table from ImPerium, but I would expect both of these teams to start looking for some strong, aggressive solo lane champions as well.
Yeah, and Tryndamere is not a ban that we see too often either, so I think that the what I'll call targeted ban there is actually more of an indicator of what we could see in later series and what ImPerium might go for here, because Tryndamere falls solidly into that split push style. If you've already drafted yourself a composition that feels good on its own, maybe picking up the Orianna here, you can start to transition into what I might call a 4-1 style for ImPerium if they want to take somebody else who's equally a split pusher.
We'll see. Split pushing is the name of the game right now. There's a lot of strong split pushers in side lanes. Camille comes to mind, still available, still not taken away. Something like a Fiora Also, not a bad answer to something like an Aatrox, but the Orianna locked in for now for Imperium's mid lane is going to create a strong 2v2 around that Sejuani, which normally in the meta right now, I don't think Sejuani is in that strong of a spot. I think Zac is almost just a better version of Sejuani. He's a great backline disruptor who sort of does what Sejuani does, but he's just better at it. He's tankier, he does more damage, he's got more crowd control. And ever since a lot of the Aftershock nerfs have really sort of brought Sejuani out of the meta, we haven't seen a ton of presence from her. Now here comes the set, right? The set locked in presumably for the top lane for Imperium. A strong solo lane option, strong in the split push, but also a really good team fighter, right? He's one of those split pushes that likes to come look for a teleport flank, look to find some way to run around, get behind the backline of the other team, and do some crazy stuff in a team fight over a dragon. So Imperium, as a team comp right now, they are big time looking for team fights between the Sejuani ultimate and the Orianna Sejuani 2v2 plus ball delivery for Orianna in a set. There's a lot of ways to get that shockwave onto the carries of Stardust Crusaders. I like Imperium's team fighting.
I really do too, and it feels almost like a wombo composition with the fact that Samira, although relatively new, can bring a lot of AoE damage. The investment in that has been relatively heavy. There's a lot of AoE damage, a lot of AoE crowd control out of not only the Samira as well as the Orianna, but the set and the Nautilus are actually going to be really huge. And Sejuani, I want to call it more of a pick enabler. And on the side of Stardust Crusaders, I don't feel like we necessarily have as much AoE damage. There's not as much commitment to that playstyle, but they found themselves what is a really high multi-threat composition. There's a lot of heavy CC, a lot of mega tankiness that set isn't going to bring you, but at the same time, they have that Aatrox in the top lane who's going to provide you another source of what I want to call pressure in the form of a team fight when you have to pay attention to where he is as well, because he can start to solo out your backline if they miss position.
Yeah, he is a great backline disruptor, although the good news for Imperium is they do have quite a lot of peel tools for their backline. Really, the only carries that have got to stay protected from that Aatrox are the Orianna and the Samira. And everyone else is pretty great at peeling. Between Nautilus and Set and Sejuani, there's a lot of great options for disengage there. I think if Imperium can keep their sort of battle lines formed, if they can keep a 5v5 front to back, they are looking good. But where Stardust Crusaders team comp really shines in my mind is they have a fantastic pick composition with multiple ways to really blow up one target. But the problem that I see with SDC's comp is they don't actually have that much damage. They have decent burst from Lux, and Ashe will hurt really bad late game, but in the mid game, I'm seeing SDC struggling a lot to have ways to deal with the set, to deal with the Nautilus, to deal with the Sejuani. I think Imperium's frontline might just roll over SDC's composition in the mid game when those team fights really start to matter around the second dragon, the third dragon, the fourth dragon. It might take SDC a little bit longer to come online because in my mind, they really need the Ashe at 2, at 3, at 4 items before they can really shred through Imperium.
And I think that that's where we start to transition away from the team fighting towards the laning phase, because I think that Stardust Crusaders have also made that up for themselves in the advantageous lanes. Lux being known as a pretty good lane bully and a nice matchup into Orianna, as well as the Ashe Leona in the bot lane, who are very strong on their own. Zac, a very potent ganker once he reaches that level 5 mark. And Aatrox, who into melee matchups is honestly exactly what you want from the champion. He's fallen off recently because of his ability to be counterpicked, but the set into him is honestly not going to thrive realistically if Flame can pilot the Aatrox to the level that we would expect from such a counterpick. And I think that it's really going to be up to the laning phase for Stardust Crusaders to try and, like you say, mitigate what is otherwise a weaker composition by starting to dominate their opponents in the early game.
And I actually, going off what you said about the Set Aatrox matchup, I really wasn't sure how that matchup was supposed to go, so I quickly Googled Set versus Aatrox, and I got my counterstats.net statistics open, and according to this anyway, Aatrox tends to have a slight early lead ratio, but it's pretty close, and Set wins the matchup 51% of the time. So almost dead heat between these two champions with maybe a slight early game lead to the Aatrox. So I definitely think it could go either way. I'm not, based off that, I'm not thinking, I'm not expecting either the Set or the Aatrox to absolutely hard smurf on the matchup. I think it could go either way. might have to wait and see. I think you're right that it's critically important how a lot of these early game lanes go, and especially if you're talking about the team that in my mind is looking to scale, looking to hit 2, 3, 4 items on Ashe onto Suicidal, then I'm looking at the bot lane, because if Suicidal gets ahead on the Ashe, if he can scale earlier in the game, then Stardust Crusaders will be in a great spot to potentially start wiping team fights and wipe ImPerium off the map and send them to their first loss of the season. But if Suicidal gets behind, then the exact opposite could happen. ImPerium could have so much more time to team fight around the mid game, because they've denied Suicidal his crucial item spikes. They've denied any sort of scaling. If Ashe has got 90 CS 20 minutes in because she just got stomped by a Nautilus and a Samira, then Stardust Crusaders' options for winning this game are probably going to be limited.
They really aren't. I think that that's a really good point that you bring up as well about the Ashe, because even though Stardust Crusaders have found themselves at this 0-3 in terms of match history in the course of Style Esports this season, the fact is that they play through Suicidal. Sometimes Hondor gets ahead, sometimes Total Riblet helps out, but realistically, it is Suicidal who ends up with the majority share of the gold, and it is he who they want to play through. And so, if we do see this Ashe be able to come out ahead in this laning phase, where they've drafted themselves a really nice composition, and as we mentioned, a really nice laning composition, has the Ashe that is pretty universally good, I want to see the ability for Stardust Crusaders to press that advantage and actually keep Suwu safe, because IMP Academy, like you mentioned, have the potential to roll over such an immobile AD carry. Stardust Crusaders' barrier of execution definitely goes up the further amount of time that we get it.
Well, and speaking of barrier of execution, I am looking big time at Velexia on this Samira, because in my experience with Samira as a champion so far, in her short time on the Rift, she is very much feast or famine. She can pop off and do a ton of damage, but if she gets behind, she can be next to worthless. And I think, Samira can synergize quite well with a champion like Nautilus that can set up for her with crowd control and lead right into her dash forward, and you can get really aggressive with a champion like a Nautilus by your side. But keep in mind, we mentioned it earlier, there's so much pick from Stardust Crusaders, so many tools between a Lux and an Ashe and a Leona and a Zac to catch out Velexia if he goes a little too far forward, if he steps in just the wrong spot. Samira is a pretty short range AD carry. I forget exactly what her range is, but in my mind, it's pretty comparable to like a Lucian, right? Samira's got sort of a close range, dashy play style where she tries to dart in and out of fights and just dance on that knife's edge of where and when you can stand and where you can be positioned. And any misstep from Velexia could just mean a kill for Suwu, and it could mean a game that's swinging in favor of Stardust Crusaders. So at bot lane, the pressure is on, I think, for both these bot lanes.
Yeah, you talked about the tools that both these teams have to get ahead in the early game, and it's what we're looking at. But as many tools as there is that much more pressure on both these teams. IMP Academy, they want to come out hard swinging in their first game of Style Esports, and Stardust Crusaders, they need to pull themselves out of this slump before it is too late. We're going to be jumping onto the Rift in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. We're going to bring you this match right after we get back. Ladies and gents, welcome back onto the Rift for Game 1 of ImPerium Academy versus Stardust Crusaders. My name is once again Diatripa, and I am joined by the one and only Baymax, as we're going to get both our teams heading onto the Rift. Stardust Crusaders, they're coming at you from the red side. They're who your cameras are on right now. They're all heading toward the top side, maybe looking for some early cheese. Going to be spotted out by Arch here, and the pressure is already on.
You are once again Diatripa, and I am once again mispronouncing your name. So, again, sorry for that, but it'll be good. It'll be a fun time. We got the first match ever between these two. Dwango getting face checked by Flame. He might bite off more than he can chew here, though. Got some backup for Flame.
Got some good slows there as well. They might be able to find a pick here, but Dwango going to be able to walk his way out. And it's nice that he didn't overstep there, because that was very nearly a kill. Instead, ends up being a ward for ImPerium Academy onto the red side of Stardust Crusaders.
Yeah, some nice deep vision to track the enemy jungler can always do a world of good for your team, especially I think a jungler like Zac, who can always look for these really unorthodox ganking patterns thanks to his elastic slingshot that can let him go over walls. Although, you know, more so that's for later on in the game. I don't know that one word on Total Riblet's red at 1 minute into the game is going to mess up his pathing too much, and in fact he might manage to actually hide from that for a long time and not reveal any information. But the idea of looking for some deep wards, always a good one. And I like what the Crusaders have done, actually. If you take a look at the map, is they also answered that ward that was placed in their own red with a blue, with one of their own wards in Imperium's blue side. So both these junglers sort of trading information, but Total Riblet actually avoided that ward because he knew that it was placed. I don't know if Viper is going to know the same thing. And in fact, here he is showing on this ward right now, clearing his blue buff. Total Riblet is probably going to be able to steal this one away if he wants to.
I would fully expect us to see a cut to that Zac Sejuani very soon. And like you mentioned, Zac having a lot of damage early on, and as well in the top lane, Total Riblet managed to steal away the blue buff, but now it's the only buff that he has, and red is quite strong. V might be able to get away here. Viper is going to manage to walk away, but Sleek, he doesn't have Aftershock anymore. He's going to be forced to flash away. Burning down is he, but is going to survive. And here's that early lane advantage we talked about for Flame playing out. In the bot side, it was lost, but at least they've got that top side going for them.
Yes, strong top side, Flame doing well, and Total Riblet getting a little bit of a CS lead for himself on Viper, taking that blue buff away. But we've mentioned it in Champ Select. I do think that how this bot lane goes is going to be critical to how the match goes. And Sleek, now being flashless, now being exhaustless, does mean that him and Suwu are going to have to play a little bit careful, right? They're against a Nautilus and a Samira. That's a lot of engage. That's a lot of damage. Somebody steps up a little bit too far, they could find themselves in a lot of danger.
Yeah, and it's really going to be up to the Ashe now to sort of control this lane, because Sleek isn't going to be able to put out the same amount of pressure. Flame in the top side, though, he's been putting in a lot of pressure and might be drawing some attention from Sejuani as Viper pokes his head into the top side. We'll just start wandering around the river, grabbing himself this Scuttle Crab, but Zac now is hovering in the top side, and we might see a little bit of a cheeky gank onto Dwango, who's quite low under his tower at this point.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird to see Riblet not try to control Scuttle Crab, right? He's got pressure top. He had a CS lead over Viper. I'm a little bit surprised he gave them away, but he's opted for a full clear of his top side instead. I think, Greg, like you said, because he's looking for this gank, but honestly, I don't think it's going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, Zac still has passive, so can afford to take a little bit of damage, but that's quite a bit. And now it's the 2v1 with Viper showing up. Flame going to have to flash away, trying to save the life of his jungler, but it doesn't look like it's going to work out. Has the Qs remaining, but this might be too much for him to go for. But the first blood going over to Aatrox. Viper, he's trying to trade back. They don't respect the damage coming out of Flame, and Dwango pays for it with his life. Teleport is available as Zac rockets forward. Might be able to find the pullback onto Viper in the top side, but it shouldn't result in a second kill. Stardust Crusaders, they come out ahead.
Diatrapa, you are 100% right. That was just a lack of respect from Imperium. They didn't think that Flame was going to do enough damage. They thought they could find the DPS on the Total Riblet to kill him through his blobs. And you know what? Didn't work out, right? Total Riblet has resurrected. Flame got a kill for himself now. We already talked about the potential in this lane, and Total Riblet is going back again.
He doesn't have passive this time, though. This could just be him going down. Haymaker going to shut down the blob. Flame now in range of the permafrost, gonna get stunned, gonna get taken down here as he's punched to death by Dwango, and an overextension trying to shove in that lane. Greeting for the kill means they throw their lead away.
Oh man, okay, they did throw the lead away, and that's 2 kills now onto Dwango to 1 on Flame. So, you know, the top lane matchup has more than corrected itself. Now Dwango might be the one fighting himself with quite the lead in this lane, but that does mean that sort of on the bot side of the map, there has been no jungle presence so far, and Suwu and Sleek are gonna be hitting level 6 soon. I think, you know, no jungle pressure on the bot side of the map definitely is helping these guys out. Because if you take a look at the wave right now, Suwu and Sleek have been forced to bounce their way back into the turret. Viper spending so much time top lane means that he can't be bot lane to punish Sleek for not having flash. So, you know, you take leads where you can get them, right? Sure, Flame did die. Total Riblet died. They traded 2 for 1 on the top side of the map, but Suwu and Sleek have the wave in a more favorable spot now. They were able to shove it in and crash and bully Valexia and King a little bit because they knew where Viper was, even though they don't have flash. But now Suwu, a little bit far forward, King Rolly, he can look for a dredge line here.
And Sleek just doesn't have flash. If they'd gone for him with that dredge line, might have meant something, but instead it's just going to be a little bit of pressure towards the bot side. As Stardust Crusaders, they walk themselves away from that gank, and even though we haven't seen a lot of action around it, I also want to draw our attention to the mid lane, because it's where we see our largest CS gap opening up. Orianna at that 42 CS into what I had expected to be a lane bully in the Lux, sitting at just the 37 mark, not able to quite CS confidently into the Orianna.
Yeah, I think of Lux as a strong 2v2 champion, right? But left to her own devices, her crowd control, the light binding, not real easy to hit. And her poke compared to an Orianna, not that reliable. Orianna is probably one of the biggest lane bullies mid lane, if not the biggest. And so, sure, if Total Riblet is spending time mid lane, if he's got that slingshot set up perfectly for a light binding, then Hondor can do just fine. But left to a 1v1, it's not very surprising to see a slight CS lead opening up, although it is only a slight one. But now Total Riblet, he's getting aggressive again, looking for Viper.
He's going to get taken down. Dwango, just an auto will finish him off, and there he goes, set wiped off the map. Didn't even have the chance to back using his gold, and just going to get shut down now.
And meanwhile, Riblet also looking for the red buff of Viper, trying to steal it away in his own jungle, but getting denied and falling a little bit further behind here because Viper has camps to clear. Riblet, not so much right now. Still hanging around the spot side, trying to make something happen. I think this might be a mistake from Riblet. He's fallen a bit behind in experience. Viper going to take his red buff. He's looking for the mid lane gank, though, over the wall.
Yeah, he might just go for it here. I'm trying to check if he has the passive available, and it looks like
He
he's
does
still got
not.
a minute 23 seconds on it, so no. And that means now this 2v2 fight is going to be all the more important. Level 7, though, on the Orianna, manages to get the kill assist, and now Hondor is in a whole bunch of trouble. Still has the flash to get away. Going to be forced to use it as the shockwave threatens his death. Hondor escapes just barely with his life, but Total Riblet so far behind, like you mentioned.
Yeah, honestly, I think that was just very greedy from Total Riblet, right? He was already behind Viper in experience, down 1 level in that jungle 1v1, and guess what? We were just talking about it. Mid lane, the pressure is all in favor of Arch. He's going to be the one rotating first. Hondor cannot get there, and even if he does, he doesn't offer quite as much at this stage of the game. So, disrespectful from Riblet to go for that invade. He gets punished for it, and now bot side of the map, Viper's looking for a play. He's going in on Sleek.
Yeah, Suwu was looking really, really good here, but Viper makes this a 2v3. Suwu forced to flash. Doesn't get it by any of the CC, though, so might be able to get out unscathed. Looks like they're trying to turn onto Sleek now, giving Suwu a chance to DPS, but not enough damage under the turret here as Valhexia. He goes way too far forward, down to just sub 200 health. Suwu gonna be chasing away the rest of ImPerium Academy as they manage to not die, but really invest a lot for nothing.
Well, they invested a lot. I wouldn't say quite for nothing, though, right? They did find that kill onto Total Riblet in the jungle, and they secured a ton of Dragon Vision. Plus, sure, Suwu and Sleek did live, but look where they are right now. They're stuck on their turret with no HP, and Suwu and Sleek both burned Flash. Those two not having Flash, no HP under their turret, means that ImPerium can look to just take this dragon away if they want to, and it looks like that is, in fact, what's going to happen. Viper looks like he's thinking about starting up Dragon anyway. I think he absolutely should, but looks like he's going to wait on that one. Meanwhile, though, Riblet is 1 step ahead. He's taking that Herald. I think trading first Dragon for Herald is fine if you actually get the first Dragon, but ImPerium are so late on this Dragon attempt that if they even end up getting it still, they're going to be so far behind the tempo.
Yeah, Stardust Crusaders were just expecting ImPerium to go for the Dragon, managed to trade the Rift Herald on the top side. They're going to try and steal with Lux here as Hondor walks in to try and scout out what is happening with the Infernal Drake, who's already well and truly dead. Viper grabs that one for his team, and Hondor maybe in a little bit of trouble, doesn't have the flash here, and Shockwave just managed to come up.
All right. So I wanna talk about this Herald that just got picked up here for Total Riblet. I'm thinking first Herald can be very impactful, but for the most part, it's only super impactful if you can take more than just the first couple plates of a turret with it, right? If you can take an entire first turret, or you can get second, third, fourth turret plates. Now Dwango getting ganked by the Elastic Slingshot. He's too far forward.
Oh yeah, and the World Ender already popped Suplex. He's gonna get Dwango pretty far away. And there's the Haymaker invested as well, but Flame, he wants to turret dive. This isn't going to land the second Q, though, and is going to be forced to back away. But this is a time where they could use that Rift Herald. Dwango's quite low. I'm not sure if he can stay.
Well, I wouldn't recommend it because Dwango's teleport is available. If he needs to, he can recall TP back to lane, and that Herald is not likely to get more than just the first couple plates. But Dwango has stayed. So you know what? You're right. Because he stayed, because he didn't back in TP, I think Total Riblet could have looked to dive with a Herald, look for a kill, look for maybe even the entire turret. That's not quite what happened, though. Total Riblet going back to his own topside juggle, picking up those Krugs, while Flame just takes the free opportunity to recall from a lane that he's been doing quite well for himself in. You know, after those shenanigans level 1, Flame is now finding himself with a bit of a gold lead, a bit of a CS lead in lane. He picked up a solo kill for himself a bit ago that you mentioned, but we didn't talk about all that much. So top lane matchup slightly in favor of Flame for now, but mid lane Viper's going forward.
Yeah, Shockwave is available, and that should be Hondor just going down here, not even going to invest in his Arch, as Viper and Arch, they claim themselves a kill in the mid lane, and honestly, Lux already quite behind, is going to have to be starting to worry about this. Dwango, his back's going to get cancelled, and Flame's feeling pretty confident up here on the top lane. He's even pivoted into the Caulfield Warhammer instead of finishing the Black Cleaver.
Yeah, and if you notice what he's doing, he's actually looking to freeze this wave right now. It's in a dangerous spot. Ooh, Arch forced to flash away from Riblet mid lane. That's a pretty important cooldown for Arch to not have. Top lane, though. Teleport from Dwango to break the freeze means that TP advantage will be in favor of Flame. That could come up big for the next dragon fight. First dragon was picked up by ImPerium. We already talked about it. They have the early game, mid game team fighting team. They want to secure these early dragons if they can. They want to look for an early dragon soul if they can. TP advantage in favor of Stardust is huge at stopping that. And now, screw TP advantage, get a kill advantage.
Yeah, you can just do this, says Flame. He walks forward with the World Ender ticking. It looks like Seth's just trying to buy time right now. Needs that Haymaker to come up again, but Flame just barely going to secure the kill. That healing reduction coming in so massive, but it's not a completed item, and it's nowhere close for Dwango. He has so far to go with the multiple pivots he's made into Tiamat, as well as Bramblebash, that he may as well be a full item behind at this point.
Yeah, that was way closer than I thought it would be, but at the end of the day, still another kill for Flame. He is just building this lead more and more and more. Third kill now on the Aatrox. He's got over 1,000 gold lead on Dwango between the turret plate he picked up and the 20-30 CS lead he's got, the 22 CS lead that he's got. This is a pretty strong Aatrox. And I was mentioning it before, but it's even more important now that he picked up another kill. The top lane is being dominated in favor of Flame, which means TP advantage for Flame could be huge for a dragon fight. Right now, though, Riblet is looking for a lane gank on the bot side of the map. The wave is in a pretty safe spot for Velexia and Rolly. This might be a little bit greedy.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he goes forward there. Is going to get punished a little bit after he channels that Rift Herald, because we already see Viper wrapping around here for the gank. Teleport channeled as well, though. Might be able to turn this around with Flame showing up. Double knock up under the tower, and they've already picked up the Nautilus. Viper going to be the last to fall. Double kill. Triple kill? Triple kill for the Aatrox there. Flame making his teleport well worth the money. They get the Herald down. They get the turret. They lose nothing.
For those of you who are wondering in the chat how to carry from top lane, for those of you who say GG top lane island can't impact the rest of the map, this is how, right? It's all about that teleport. Flame has done such a good job of dominating that 1v1, saving teleport, and his TP advantage just got his team a massive team fight win, first turret, and most likely, second dragon as well. He's extending his lead across the map through that teleport. And sure, Dwango did manage to trade the turret back top side of the map. It's not going to be enough. Flame now with a 2-level lead over Dwango. He can do whatever he wants in this matchup. He is free to go wherever he wants, whenever he wants. He is 6-1 on this Aatrox. We are looking at 6,400 gold on this man. He's got more than a fourth of his team's total gold. So he is way ahead of the curve right now. He is doing great for himself. And Sulu is doing pretty well also off the back of all those assists, all those kills that got picked up. He's got 113 CS, second most or third most in the game. He's feeling pretty good. Got his S tier finished. Looks like for now, Stardust are not going to contest this dragon. They are going to give the second dragon of the game over to ImPerium. They had to. The reset timers just weren't there for it, but they could look for a fight maybe now. They got a collapse coming through. Ultimates are soon to be available. Stardust are only starting to come online. Remember, they need to have Flame in the fight. They need to have items on Suwu. If they have those win conditions, they will win almost any fight. They have no problem giving away second dragon for now, if it means they can win the fight over third one or fourth one. Ooh, Dredgeline.
Yeah, he already gets hooked in, and now he's gonna have to flash under the turrets. Could still burn down. Nice arrow to return. Should get the trade kill onto Valexia. And now it looks like Sleek trying to make some names of his own. Aatrox gonna barely escape in the top lane, getting away from ImPerium Academy as they try to collapse. Means that it is ultimately a 1-4-1 across the map. Stardust Crusaders and ImPerium Academy feeling pretty even right now, but Flame, he wants to continue the fight because he has Total Rivulet in his pocket. Flash forward to secure that knockup is going to barely not take down Viper, and now Dwango, he's the one in trouble, but look at this, Arch is coming over the suplex, takes Rivulet under the tower, and his passive is available, and I'm not sure it's going to be enough. There's the Shockwave invested, and now it is a 3v1. Finishes off Viper, does Flame though, and tries to do as much damage as he can before his mid laner shows up. Doesn't manage to get the hook onto the mid laner, but it doesn't even matter. Ult across two. Nothing available for Roly to save the rest of his laners. They line up perfectly for Hondor. He picks up a double kill. Make that almost a triple? It's just barely not a triple. As Total Rivulet, he managed to pick up one of those for himself, while Hexia rotates to clear the wave. But Stardust Crusaders, they push their advantage when it counts.
And after a ton of fighting, I think that ended up ultimately being a 5-for-3 in favor of Stardust once you factor in the fighting that happened in the bot lane as well. Something like that. It was long, it was messy, but at the end of the day, it was a win for Stardust, largely off the back of Flame just being so big on this Aatrox and some fancy footwork from Hondor and Rivulet as well. And now Stardust Crusaders, their reward for the team fight win, they get to pick up the second Herald of the game as well. They got the first one, they got first turret with a bot lane. They got the second one, they could look to finally break open that mid lane outer turret, take even more control over the map. And this is where Stardust Crusaders are going to want to start looking at taking those next couple dragons, right? You break open that mid lane turret, it means that you have far better access to the dragon pit. You got items, all that gold in the pockets of your team. You're going to have second items soon. On Suwu, he is sitting on a lot of gold right now, about 1,200 in his pocket. So he's about halfway to a second item. A big item spec for Hondor as well with the Ludens that are coming through. These guys are starting to hit their item specs, and it's good that they are because they were getting bullied in lane. Take a look at the CS difference between Arch and Hondor. About 40 CS between these guys. That's big. Those two kills for Hondor were nice because before that, the gold gap between those guys was huge. It's actually still huge. 7,000 gold for Arch, 5,500 for Hondor after he came through with those kills.
Yeah, looks like we're getting another fight, though. They don't know that Aatrox is roaming up, and Valhexia is in a lot of trouble. Gonna get knocked up, gonna get bursted down, and now Suicidal, completely safe, is gonna be able to just buy space slow for his team. Double kill for Flame on the Aatrox, is looking for a triple onto Dwango. Shockwave just now coming up. Arch is trapped under his turret, gonna invest the Shockwave for Sleek, but it's gonna cost him his life as another kill going to be picked up for Stardust Crusaders. It will be Hondor who grabs that one onto his lane opponent. We talked about the gold difference between them, but that was 4 kills now, finally picked up for Hondor, and they should get this mid lane turret as well.
I want to mention something here. 3 members of ImPerium, Viper, Dwango, and Valexia, all died with their flashes still available. All flashes are actually up now for this team except for King Roly, who's about halfway up. So, you know, for the next dragon fight, a lot of those key summoner spells will be available for ImPerium that aren't actually there for Stardust right now. There won't be a flash for Suwu. There won't be one for Hondor. There won't be one for Flame. So that might be enough to tilt the scales in favor of ImPerium. But honestly, I don't think so, because now we're looking at about a 5,000 gold lead in favor of Stardust. They broke open that mid lane turret. They got dragon spawning in just about 60 seconds. The mid lane gold gap between Arch and Hondor is far smaller than it was just a minute ago. A bot lane as well, we're looking at almost 1,000 gold lead for Suwu on this Ashe, who just recalled to pick up a Zeal. He's getting close to his second item. Herald's still in the pocket of Rivulet, by the way. Don't forget, Herald can be dropped at any point to create even more pressure so that Stardust can fight over that dragon pit. And I think they want to. I think this is prime fighting time for Stardust. Again, they have teleport on Flame, once again with the TP advantage in the side lane. The cards are there. Stardust, it's their game to lose at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, they just dropped the Rift Herald in the top side for the pressure. They send Flame up there as well with the teleport to get down to this if they want it. You're right, this is going to be really the fight that I feel like is going to be a really game-defining one, because you mentioned all the summoners being up as Arch. He's potentially in a little bit of trouble here. Flame has all those knockups to his name. Phase Rush going to get Arch to safety for now, and Flame being kited out a little bit, which is the one really weakness of the Aatrox at this point in the game. Has the Death Dance in his pocket though, and still wants to go aggressive, has a lot of magic resist, and should be able to get away from this gank, and it's so much invested into the top side by Imperium Academy. They give up the dragon, they realistically don't get anything back.
Yeah, I like the macro there from Stardust, right? They drop the Herald, Flame with a split push, he puts some pressure onto Arch, forces a reaction from Imperium. He says, hey, if you don't come up here, I'm going to kill your Orianna and or take your turret. You gotta come up here. Somebody's gotta come up here. And Imperium say, okay, we're gonna send everybody, we're gonna look for a pick. Doesn't come through, Flame plays safe, and the rest of Stardust are allowed to move in, take the first dragon of the game for themselves, get that Cloud Dragon on the board, which is really nice, by the way. Cloud Dragons stacking up for Stardust are going to be huge. We talked about it. This is a pick team. They have a Lux ultimate. They have an Ashe ultimate. They have a Leona ultimate. All these ultimates are crazy to have on low cooldown. Getting extra cooldown reduction for these guys going to be huge for Stardust's opportunities in terms of finding picks in the map, initiating fights, starting fights over objectives. It's the tools, the utility that these guys get from their ultimates is just massive.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that can really be said in terms of initiation as well, because like if you start getting more ultimates on the side of Imperium Academy, even it's just as useful as it looks like. Dwango not even going to use his ultimate as he's, oh, there we go, finally uses it to get Hondor into the wall, but Flame's teleporting down, and I think Dwango has found himself on the bad end of a trade here. Flame, the teleport from him should manage to pick up this kill, but he's quite fast at this point and might be able to get away. World Ender going to be popped in. That's really the cooldown that I was thinking of when I started this conversation, was the ability for that to be up the Aatrox so often. The resets are so crucial. The lifesteal it offers is massive, especially when coupled with the Death Stance that we haven't really seen be able to perform in a team fight yet, because he picked it up just before heading into the side lane with the Orianna, but I'm expecting to be a huge difference maker and really exacerbate the difference in gold between these teams.
By the way, you mentioned how fast the set was. Well, when Flame pops World Ender, he gains 80% movement speed. And that'll increase to 100% at max rank, so that's huge. It is decaying, but it makes him so fast. If you're trying to get away from an Aatrox with the World Ender, you got another thing coming. You ain't going nowhere. He is gonna run you down. And Flame, he wins the side lane for his team. He saves the life of Hondor, and he almost takes out this bot lane turret. Now, the one problem here for Stardust Crusaders is Flame used teleport to get there. He no longer can threaten to look for a flank over Baron. This creates an opportunity where if Stardust Crusaders start up Baron, or if Imperium start up Baron, Imperium know that they basically aren't going to have to worry about Flame being there. So it slows the game down, which is not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing for Stardust. It's fine that it slows the game down, but I hope they recognize that it slows the game down. You got to fight around your Aatrox. Stardust Crusaders, you are very far ahead, but so much of it is on this 9-2 World Ender, right? So much of it is on Flame. If he's not there, I think you can still lose the fight. And I hope Stardust, don't feel too invulnerable right now.
Yeah, there's certainly a world where that happens, and I mean, Flame being in the side lane with Orianna is really not the worst thing in the world right now. She's going to be able to kite him out pretty consistently, but for the most part, they'll neutralize each other with a slight advantage to Flame. And it looks like you mentioned, Stardust Crusaders, they recognize that, and they play safe around this objective here, just trying to clear out vision and really force more people to show up in that bottom lane before they start up the objective.
I really do wish it was the set in the side lane instead of the Orianna, because Dwango does have teleport and he can get to that fight. But like you said, I think Orianna matching the Aatrox is fine. She can match him. She can wave clear into turret and do it in a safe way as long as Flame doesn't have Baron left bumping up those minions. But right now, I think the name of the game is sort of dragons and scaling for Stardust. Stardust don't need to force anything, because we mentioned it. They have a pretty insane scaling team. The Ashe late game should shred through anything Imperium have. Once Suwu gets to his third item, right now he's sitting at 2. He just picked up the Hurricane, the Runons. Once he's got third item, he should be basically unstoppable. Even if Flame falls off a little bit, which Aatrox scales pretty well in his own right, but even if Flame falls off a little bit, there's a great late game carry in the Ashe that's sort of ready to step up and pick up that mantle and continue carrying it forward for the team. So Stardust, they aren't feeling pressured at all. They have total control over the map. They can keep looking for these dragons, look to pressure a Dragon Soul, keep that CDR stacking up on their ultimates, and just make ImPerium feel the squeeze. Make them feel every little bit of pain as they slowly lose the map.
Oh yeah, Dwango's gonna be in pain right now. Gonna be forced to use his ultimate defensively, the suplex. Really, I don't think I've seen an offensive one this game, and the Haymaker's still not used. Gonna chunk Suicidal out a little bit, but so much kiting available for this Ashe, as well as the fact that he has Total Riblet in front of him, who's a tank monster right now. 5 seconds on the Dragon, and no way for Dwango to really get involved without an ultimate. Is going to be another Dragon going over to Stardust Crusaders. At least we expect. Flame roaming over as well. Might be.
Oh, Flame, you might be in trouble.
World Ender's used, though. He's trying to kill Valhexia, and already is going to almost be losing his life. Flame trying to survive for as long as he can, and it actually looks like Total Riblet has decided to roam over here instead. The Dragon is going to fall in the meantime, now flashing away. Does have the passive available, but Andy, Sleek, and Suwu have to do something about this. A little bit of a throw there from Stardust Crusaders. They get themselves the Dragon, but they lose what is a massive advantage. And flash forward, they want to capitalize on this. Does ImPerium right into the hands of Pondor, though, as a double ultimate going to come across. Managed to secure a kill onto Viper.
And just when you thought Stardust were throwing their lead, ImPerium, they say, we see your throw, we're going to match it. We're going to also throw. I think that was such a good pick from ImPerium. A nice catch onto Flame while he was trying to rotate to that Dragon. But then, ImPerium, you could have just rotated to the Baron and taken it. You had a 5v3 with the main front line for Stardust Crusaders dead. They can't walk into you. The only way they could possibly win a fight from that point is if you walk into them. And that's exactly what ImPerium did. They flashed after, they looked for more kills, and now Sleek is getting caught out by Baron, which is very fortunate for ImPerium, but that could have been a Baron. That could have been a Baron, and instead it only turned into a pick onto Flame, which is good. That's a lot of shutdown gold going over, but I think that was the point that ImPerium were waiting for to really turn the game on its head, and it feels like they didn't take it.
Yeah, I think that they definitely could have capitalized more on that. Of course, a lot of defensive options for Stardust Crusaders is going to mean that it's that much harder, and Valhexia is still scaling up. I'm really not sure where we see this Samira start to come online, or whether she's past her most valuable point yet, because she is so new in the meta. I'm still figuring out whether she is one of those hyper late game scalers or whether she's an early game bully. But for the most part, it really looks like Flame is the one who the game has become about. We see 3 people rotating down to him. You have to imagine that this is him trying to get away for as long as he can, and maybe the team going to Baron, but it looks like the rotation down actually is going to be called in. Hondor using his teleport to get invested in this fight. Flame, he has a lot of sustain in this fight, and a nice enchanted crystal arrow going to buy so much more time. Hondor doesn't have the shields available though, and Flame going to be pulled back and going to be taken down. Dwango claims revenge for his lane, but the trade back from Hondor notices the hook there and cleans up Valhexia with the light.
It was a good trade back from Hondor, but again, so many resources burned from Stardust just to try to save Flame, who got himself caught out for no real reason. It feels like Stardust are throwing their lead away a little by little. I think you absolutely take that trade every day of the week if you're ImPerium, finding the kill onto Flame. When, by the way, with regard to the Samira, I am with you. I don't know that much about how good the Samira is going to be late game, but I do know that the AD scalings on her Inferno trigger are insane. So late game, typically abilities that have high scaling ratios do quite well late game, because late game is when you really get to stack up the ratios, or when you really get to stack up the items and get the AD or get the AP, whatever your champion is trying to build. So I can definitely see a world where Valhexia just starts to really pop off in a lot of these late game fights and wipe the floor with her Inferno trigger. But right now, we're not quite at that point yet. We only got first item picked up for Valhexia, close to a second item, not quite there yet. So for now, definite advantage still in favor of Stardust Crusaders. But again, Diatropa, it feels to me like Stardust Crusaders, and Flame especially, are just getting disrespectful and getting caught out. And that is not good news for them.
Yeah, and it feels like the macro has kind of left their heads, right? Because as Flame got caught out in the bottom lane, we could have seen it turn onto Baron, and instead teleport invested into the bottom side to try and turn that around. And I get where it comes from, right? Because Flame feels so good right now, but the reality is that he's not going to continue to be this late game bully. Dwango is going to continue to scale up, and sort of from the point where 2 items happened for Flame, he only gets worse and worse as the game goes on now. Is still going to be able to bully the side lane for a little while, but you've got to be capitalizing on these micro objectives that appear on the map in the form of Flame getting collapsed on while they still are available. But for Dwango, can just side lane comfortably like it looks like he's doing right now.
Well, he doesn't have to do it for that much longer, hopefully, because Stardust can look to get a Dragon Soul in about 6 minutes from now. Got the next Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, and the one after that 5 minutes later. And for now, it's Stardust Crusaders, who still do have total side lane control, still do have total pit access, and the flank position from Riblet. Now look where Dwango, he's losing this trade so hard.
Yeah, Flame level 17 is absolutely massive right now, but Arch is rotating over. Flame might be able to 2v2 this. The dunk in does set up for a beautiful shockwave, but everybody's out of it by the time it's procced. Arch gonna be taken down here. Total Riblet. The flash away is going to secure his life for a little bit longer, and there it is, flash forward from the Zac, going to secure the kill, and now so many people caught out under the turret. Total Riblet, he goes under it, has so much CC to his name. Beautiful ultimate across 3 members from Hondor, gonna pick up Valhexia, and now it is just King Broly left alive. Flame gonna be able to chase under the turret here, is gonna back away as he realizes that Dwango's respawn timer is a little bit shorter than he might have been used to, but still nonetheless.
Oh my god, he's going!
Crusader, yeah, he goes for it, starts tanking up that turret and still takes down King Broly. Use the stopwatch to buy a little bit more time. Sleek may trade his life. The flash away, going to be enough to let him live for now. And now Dwango Unchained, he's the one in trouble. Gonna get rooted up, gonna get knocked up, gonna get taken down by Hondor from downtown. And now it is the base being broken, and the spirits of ImPerium Academy are really going to be suffering after this one, my friend.
Yeah, Stardust Crusaders, they were just baiting all of us. They made us think that for a second, ImPerium might have a way back into this game. And then they reminded us just how far ahead they were and just how hard their team scales. And right now, it was really Subu and Hondor popping off big time in that fight. Flame bought a ton of time on the front line, but if you look at the back end of that fight, it was basically Stardust Crusaders arriving to save Flame. And Flame looked really cool. He got a lot of the last hits, but Subu and Hondor are putting in so much work in that fight, doing a ton of damage. I'm sure if we had like an LCS recap of the DPS down in that fight, it would be Hondor or Subu at the top. Quite a good fight for Stardust Crusaders.
And there were 2 different ultimates used in that fight as well for Hondor, I believe. Just being able to reset on those. Oh my God, it's skipping me. Final sparks there. Being able to reset those final sparks with the passive that comes with that ability is so massive. And now the fact that Stardust Crusaders have gotten themselves that bot lane inhibitor, forces pressure where they don't even need Flame to be there anymore, and it turns into this engage in the mid lane. Total Riblet, so much knock up across the map. 3 members going to be taken down here, as it looks like it's just going to be Viper next on the menu. Total Riblet, way too tanky for anybody to challenge him. Flame has a triple kill, looking for the quadra here, flashes forward onto Arch. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to find it. Sterix is popped, and now Dwango going to be able to get away by suplexing Total Riblet into the backline. Should go down here. The passive is proc, though. Flame still looking for the kill, wants to be able to save his jungler, and it's going to be the teleport that does it there. Total Riblet trying to escape, is going to be taken down by the turret, and Orianna finds the shutdown onto Hondor. Flame needs to find a way to turn this around. He just has Sleek to his name. Suwoo's not even in this fight, and they might not be able to do it, but there's the World Ender, gonna be able to take down perhaps Arch. Not enough turnaround, though. Flame has so much healing to his name. Dwango chasing him down, though. He wants to find this kill. He wants to find this shutdown. The Haymaker, not gonna be enough damage, and there's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Flame is still fighting here. Should be able to find Dwango, but just barely misses. Gets the auto attack in, and now Valhexia wants the shutdown. Flame's still alive, though, and now the fight is about Suwoo, who isn't gonna get hooked. He's gonna be able to kite out Viper, but Arch is here. Doesn't know that he's here just yet. The burst potential from this Orianna is massive. Flame wants to re-involve himself in the fight, jumps over the wall, doesn't get the kill onto Viper, but is going to get it onto, finally, the Nautilus, and is going to be taken down. It is just the Guardian Angel, though, as he could look for the turn onto, oh my god, he has the World Ender again! Gets the shutdown onto Arch. This fight has gone on for so long, but it is off the back of Flame Sustain. But he's done killing champions. He wants to kill these turrets. Gonna knock up Viper as he walks away. Maybe still looking for the turret dive, though, and I think that with the respawns coming in, he should start to be a little bit scared, though. Gargoyle Stoneplate doing a lot of work, but Viper is not going to be enough. Flame essentially 2v5ing there. I mean, he lost his Ashe, but it didn't seem to matter, and now he's going to be able to potentially take down this turret. Please don't fight again, dude. I'm so tired of talking. Dwango's chasing him down, but Flame, he wants to continue this fight, feeling really confident, has the backup of Total Riblet and Sleek this time, and should certainly be enough to close this game out. The Nexus is exposed. All they've got to do is auto it, but they want these kills. Valhexia, he does absolutely nothing right now, is taken down instantly. Dwango is soloing out Hondor in the backside, but Roly is going to be the sacrificial land. Dwango finally going to get taken down. Haymaker going to be Zanya's, and that should be the Nexus. Arch, please. He looks for the shockwave, isn't going to find it, going to hula hoop on himself to find 2 members, but it's not going to be enough here, as he should be taken down, or at least zoned off of the Nexus that is slowly but surely being destroyed. Flame gonna land the last auto there, in Stardust Crusaders, it was a mess, but it was a messy game in their favor. They walk away with the 1 victory here in the best of 3.
I am impressed with your ability to talk for about 10 hours at one time. That was a lot of fighting, and let's give a hand to Diatropa for that. And
I can't believe I'm alive right now.
That was fantastic. By the way, you mentioned Hondor in one of those team fights. He ulted twice. You mentioned the reset on the final spark. That is not a thing anymore. That got removed several. It was a while ago. His base ultimate CDR was just that low. With 3 Cloud Dragons, the final spark was on a 15.4 second cooldown. That's why he used it twice in that fight. That was just the standard base cooldown for that skill. So that is why you saw the World Ender. The World Ender was on a 30-second cooldown. Like, these abilities with Cloud Dragon stacking are so ridiculously strong. The team comp that Stardust Crusaders had was like perfect for 4 Cloud Dragons, which didn't actually get the 4th one. They only had 3, but it was still like, it was beautiful.
That's disgusting. I'm actually so disgusted by the fact that the cooldown was just so low that I actually thought that it was resetting. Like, do you know how ridiculous that is? that you would think that the cooldown was being artificially reduced, because it feels like there's no way. And I think that really encapsulates the way the Stardust Crusaders walked away from this, is that the game was so ridiculous. I'm happy they won it, because they clearly played their hearts out, but it certainly feels like there are holes in the armor as we move into the game too, right? Like, that mid-game shot calling was definitely not where you
100%.
Really off the back of what was a crazy top lane.
Definitely. Both teams, I feel like Stardust especially, I feel like their macro early game was pretty on point, but it really started to fall apart once they got further ahead, is what it felt like. And I'm wondering, maybe if they just got a little bit ahead of themselves, they got a little bit disrespectful because they felt like they were so much stronger than ImPerium. Stardust just felt like it didn't matter. They could make those mistakes. They could get careless. The Flame could get caught out once or twice and it wouldn't end up mattering. And it didn't really end up mattering. Flame was still strong at the end of that game. He was 17-4 on the Aatrox. He got caught out a couple times, made a couple mistakes, but take a look at the damage charts. Take a look at the scoreboard. Like, he had an insane performance on this Aatrox, even though he got caught out a couple times, even though he gave him some shutdown gold that he didn't need to. He still had a ridiculously strong performance, and everybody on Stardust Crusaders did pretty well. There's not one person on this team who I felt like had a bad game. And so if I'm ImPerium, I think I'm a little bit scared going into the next game. It felt to me sort of like they just got outskilled across the map. I think part of that is because the team comp differences. Stardust played very well around that side lane and played well around their power spikes and fights. But part of that, and honestly, I don't know that I could pick like one thing that really went wrong for ImPerium, other than Flame getting really ahead early. It did feel like Stardust just had a strong performance, which is crazy because Stardust are the 0-3 team, right? Like, in my mind, they're the underdogs. I haven't seen ImPerium play before. But Stardust have yet to win a series, and they've played 3 best of 3s.
Yeah, and with the way that this series went, it feels, with the way that this game went, because importantly, we're still in the series, I'm so confused as to how they haven't won a series yet, and I'm really kind of hesitantly excited for next game because it feels like we could start to see those slip-ups costing them. Imperium Academy is going to have the second game to mentally reset and jump back with with a team comp that really wasn't that bad. It felt like it was just like you mentioned, those individual outplays really snowballing on them and taking them out of the game. But I felt like they were all there when it came to at least making macro decisions, perhaps a little bit late, but no real crazy mistakes coming out of them. It is going to be something that we'll keep an eye on, though, as we are going to be moving into Game 2. Stardust Crusaders, they look to secure their first victory of the season. Can they do it? Find out right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're popping into the pro draft of Game 2 of Imperium Academy versus Stardust Crusaders here at Style Esports. My name is Diatripa. I am joined still by Baymax here on the desk, and pro draft of Game 1 looking remarkably similar to pro draft of Game 2 so far. Looks like both teams not feeling super threatened, but I'd expect some target bans before the day's out.
Yeah, there's the H-Tracks right there, taken away. Not all that surprising. Flame did exceptionally well on the pick. Also, the Volley Bear taken away, so still the Ashe is open, the Caitlyn is open, Samira is open, Imperium opting for the Caitlyn first pick. We'll see what sort of an answer ends up coming through here from Stardust Crusaders. They could opt to pick up... Oh, I just unplugged my headset, so I can't hear you if you start talking, so I'll just keep talking. They could opt for the Ashe again. They could opt for a different AD carry. My headset is plugged in again, so I can hear your beautiful voice. Diatropic.
And actually, I'm as glad as I am that you can hear my voice. I'm also glad to see that Caitlyn picked up. I was surprised that she fell through draft last game, and it looks like that Jinx actually going to be throwing a little bit of a wrench in the works. Suicidal, feeling like he wasn't under a lot of threat last game, wants to go full out this game. Jinx, Lulu, a strong lane locked in early.
Yeah, but I feel like, typical responses to Caitlyn are like Ashe, Ezreal, or Jhin, all of which are strong champions, all of which were open, and none of which were what ended up getting picked. I feel like showing the Jinx this early in draft might be a mistake. I don't think you got to do that. I don't think the Jinx is a threatened pick. I don't think it's something that's going to be taken away from you, and I think it shows a lot of your cards early, right? You have the Jinx Lulu bot lane. Yeah, that is a hyper-scaling champion that you want to protect. And so likely Stardust Crusaders are opting for, once again, a bot-centered playstyle. Once again, a playstyle where they have this hyper-scaling AD carry that can pop off really well in the late game. Imperium can look to punish that now. And so far, they've started by taking away the Lux. Hondor is not going to have his Lux this time around. Plus, Caitlyn Lux is a pretty strong lane. If that light binding lands, somebody is dead. Right? Light binding into a trap, and Jinx or Lulu are saying bye-bye. Orianna mid lane, once again, as well, picked up here. I like the Orianna too. I think Arch looked pretty good in the Orianna. I think it was one of the stronger parts of Imperium, and he had strong CS leads against Hondor. He had a lot of priority in that lane. He, at one point, was up about 40 to 50 CS, like 150 to 110. So, I think Imperium are sort of setting themselves up for success right now. They have a bot lane that can be strong and have pressure. They have a mid lane that can be strong and have pressure. And so far, Stardust Crusaders, they've got scaling options. They don't have early game strength. They need something to bridge the gap to the late game. And they might walk into the trap of picking 3 scaling lanes and no way to make anything happen early.
Yeah, and that's something you've got to be really careful of. Into the very strong early and mid game of Imperium so far, I'd expect something that can at least put pressure on the map, something that can stall out, maybe a wave clear mid laner to be picked up. And the Tryndamere ban, again, is a little bit of question mark for me. Just because even if there is a one-trick Tryndamere, I really feel like it's not an optimal pick in a what I want to call competitive environment. But I do really like the Vladimir pick here for Stardust Crusaders, because as much as it doesn't provide them a lot of options in terms of the early game, what it does do is provide them that flexibility that says, is this going mid, is this going top? They can pick themselves a jungler here and still leave those questions available for Imperium.
So to answer your question about Tryndamere, Dwango Unchained is not a Tryndamere one trick, but he is it's his most played champion. So he is pretty comfortable on Tryndamere, and also Tryndamere, if Flame is anything like me, Tryndamere might just be a champion that really gets under his skin and he hates playing against it, which I would respect. And let's talk more about what Stardust might pick here, because so far they got Sejuani locked in for jungle. Honestly, I'm not that big of a fan. I think I would have liked to have seen like an Olaf or something more aggressive, maybe a Lee Sin, something that can bridge that gap into the mid game, into the late game. Right now, that job is gonna rely basically totally on Flame. And he did a good job of that in game 1, but he might get shut down even harder in game 2. Because look at what Imperium have drafted, right? Orianna mid, Caitlyn Lux bot, set top, Maokai jungle, or vice versa, set jungle, Maokai top. Either way, all of those champions have a lot of pressure and a lot of presence in those early to mid game team fights. Imperium have drafted a team composition that basically excels a lot at fighting early, at getting pressure points, at getting aggressive. And Stardust, not so much. They do throw a curveball in it with a Zed mid, so it's gonna be Vlad top to reference back to your lane swapping thing. I think I like this more than if the Vlad was mid because Zed does have more pressure and can look to solo kill the Orianna. But still, Zed into Orianna is not a great matchup for the Zed. And Zed as the champion, I feel like it's not in that great of a spot right now, especially when you're talking about Zed into Orianna, into Maokai, into Set, into Lux. All of these champions, all of them, have pretty good answers to the Zed in one way or another. And that's concerning to see because Zed is Stardust Crusaders early to mid game carry champion. There's nobody else. So I really like ImPerium's draft here.
Yeah, and it feels like we almost see a reversal of what we saw last game with the favor going so much into ImPerium's early lanes here. They have the opportunity to do exactly what Stardust Crusaders did to them last game with their strong lanes, their ability to bully early, their ability to get these picks. Maokai and Set going to bring so much crowd control into the late game that it doesn't feel like they really fall that far behind either. Caitlyn late game is notorious, and honestly, Arsha's Orianna looked really, really good last game. If you provide a little bit more space to this mid laner, I'm excited to see what they can do. A little bit of disrespect here from Stardust Crusaders could cost them this second game and put us at match point if it ends up going that way. And I've got to, I've got to ask myself sort of where it is that Stardust Crusaders can really invest their time. Do they think that they can just abuse this Orianna with the duo of Sejuani and Zed? Or is their plan really to say, hey ImPerium, I know that you have strong lanes, I know that you have strong early, you take the mid game, you take the early game, and we don't think you're good enough to close out.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, actually, is, SDC, they might feel like they got a good read on how strong ImPerium's players are. They might just be saying, hey, no matter what happens, we don't think you can end. We don't think you can close out. We think we can give you a strong early game team, and you aren't going to be able to end before Vladimir gets level 11 and we really start coming online. Because late game, later on, once these guys start hitting 2 to 3 items, Stardust Crusaders team comp is disgusting. If they get to 25, 30 minutes, or especially 35 minutes, even close to being even, they should start to run over fights, in my mind. They have a ton of opportunity to do that. Now, that being said, maybe I'm caster cursing myself, but I think we are going to go to a game 3. I don't think that SDC are going to be able to make it to that point because I really don't like their draft. I think Zed gets shut down at almost every stage of the game. I think the Jinx and the Vlad and the Sedge and the Lulu scale hard enough to counteract that if the game lasts long enough, but mid lane priority should be in favor of Arch and the Orianna. Bot lane should definitely be in favor of the Caitlyn and the Lux. Top lane as well is just a snooze fest no matter who ends up there. But, I mean, I don't know. ImPerium have a good comp, but it'll be on them to execute it.
Now, of course, the other danger is that with Sejuani, you do still have quite a bit of early gank potential, especially with somebody like the Zed. But if you show up into Zed's lane, get him an advantage, that's a champion that can roam really, really well. And Jinx and Lulu, Lulu and hyper carries, period, are really lanes that can start to abuse you. Even if you do have a strong lane, the ability for Jinx Lulu to walk you down is really prevalent once they hit that one item spike before you do. And I think that that's key, is it's the timing of before you do. If they manage to get in good backs, if they manage to outfarm, if they manage to get an early kill, there's actually a world in which this bot lane, instead of turning into a weakness, turns into a huge strength for Stardust Crusaders.
I agree with that. But I think you really hit the nail on the head with the Zed thing. I think that Stardust Crusaders best and really definitely their best option for making something happen early on for bridging the gap to the mid game is through the Zed. Because Orianna does find into Zed in the 1v1, but she is immobile. She's not very safe. If she does get caught out, if the ganks start coming through from the Sejuani, if kills do start going over to Zed, then, like you said, that lead gets extended across the rest of the map. That can very quickly become very difficult for ImPerium to deal with. Fed Zed is super, super obnoxious, but even that, I feel like there's so many answers, right? There's so many answers for the Zed. There'll be pretty insane shielding from the Lux support. You got the light binding to crowd control him. You got shielding from Orianna, the shockwave to CC him. You have Maokai Twisted Advance. That's a targeted roots that he can't dodge. Like, that's super good. The set face breaker, like, plus a Zed can't exactly jump on a Maokai or a set. He's really got to look for the Caitlyn, got to look for the Lux, got to look for the Orianna. And there's such a strong front line for Imperium's carries to hide behind. And I feel like the Zed will be diving basically all by himself. There's not a lot of follow-up. It's the Sejuani and the Zed for SDC that are going forward, and everyone else is sort of kiting back. Until level 11 anyway, then maybe the Vlad is also going forward with you, but until that point, like, everyone else is going the other way. They're saying, hey, like, we are just trying to scale. We're just trying to play slow. We're just trying to get our items to come online. So, I don't know. It's scary.
Yeah, it might be one of those stories of the please stop engaging. I don't want to fight right now, as, you know, Jinx and Lulu are running for their lives against Set and Maokai, who certainly have backline access to their name. Set being able to take a Sejuani straight back out of a fight is going to be hyper relevant. And I think it bears mentioning as we do get into game 2 as well that Hondor on this Zed is playing a completely different style of champion than we saw in game 1. Being able to switch up styles like that is actually a skill set. Like, it's not just something that, oh, I'm good at this champion, I'm gonna play it. Being able to change in a coordinated environment, the type of utility that you're bringing to your team is going to be massive. Flame hasn't had to do that. Riblet hasn't had to do that. Suwu and Sleek haven't had to do that. The burden of execution this game for Stardust Crusaders is on this Zed to see if Hondor can actually play into what is already an unfavorable matchup in a different style that he's used to, and a game pace that might not actually favor the champion pick. And I think that really puts a lot of eggs in the basket of this mid lane, and we're going to have to see if Hondor can hold them up until that 25-minute mark.
And I want to build up on that a little bit, because Hondor, I'm taking a peek at his match history right now. He's got 5 Zed games played this season. The season that I'm seeing that he has the most Zed games played was season 7, and that season he only had 14, and it was a 29% win rate. His Zed is not something he's got a ton of experience on, unless he's got like a Smurf somewhere that he's hiding a bunch of games on that I don't know about. On that account, Zed, not something he's been shining on. So to pull it out in a competitive game when, like you said, it's a very different style than what he just played, little bit sketchy. All eyes are on him in my mind right now. I was talking about the bot lane last time, ended up being the top lane, but this game, I'm looking at the mid lane. 100%. Hondor and Arch. Who wins that mid lane could very well be indicative of who wins the actual game.
Yeah, that's where I want to keep our eyes as we tick down on the spectator delay. We're going to be getting into game 2 of ImPerium Academy versus Stardust Crusaders very shortly. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 2 of ImPerium Academy versus Stardust Crusaders. My name is, as always, Demacia, and I am joined by the one and only Baymax as we pop onto the Rift for Game 2. No side swapping this game. Stardust Crusaders, they're still red.
They are indeed still red side, but they have swapped up their team comp a little bit. Last time Stardust, I liked their comp a lot because they had strong scaling options, but they also had strong early game options. This time around, Stardust basically said, screw all that early game nonsense. We're going all in on scaling. And our one early game option is going to be a Zed mid who kind of gets countered by like most of the enemy team in later team fights and doesn't even do that well in the 1v1. So I am not a fan of Stardust team composition, if that showed through my sarcasm a little bit. But maybe you'll prove me wrong because they won game 1. They won it pretty convincingly. Anything can happen. I'm ready to eat my words.
Yeah, I think that this game is really a big question of who they play through because they have the option of ganking something that is hyperscaling and putting it on a road to success. Suwu and Sleek are going to be set up to take over a lane if Total Riblet decides to go to their lane. Flame, as we saw last game, can always benefit from more attention. The guy's an absolute monster when he gets ahead. And Hondor is really where we expect the ganks to go, right? Because of the Zed pressure in this mid lane. So I feel like at least, even though they don't have the scaling that we look for, they have drafted themselves a wide open map. Whereas on the other side of this, it doesn't necessarily feel like Viper is going to have that many options. Ganking as a set into Lulu Jinx is gonna be really hard. And ganking a Maokai really doesn't do anything. So where do you go? You go mid, and that's gonna be difficult to somebody as slippery as the Zed as well.
Yeah, we'll see. In my mind, the biggest job of Viper is to make sure that he knows where Total Riblet is so that his team isn't caught out by surprise. Because on paper, ImPerium should have pressure basically in all lanes. And it's going to come down, ooh.
Yeah, ImPerium, they get that with that pressure, the level 2 early on. Sleek gonna go down as well. It's not just Suwu, and I mean, I wanted to bring up, I think I'm gonna eat my words this game. My bet was that Suwu would get fed, and he insta-dies at the level 2 mark, and now the gank into top lane could be making me eat my words again. Maybe they do want to gank this Mount guy. Wango, though, going to be tanking up a lot of those minions, and Riblet is here. They could look for the turn onto Viper, who's going to be caught between two. The Facebreaker not going to work. Phase Rush not going to get him away either. Facebreaker going to buy oh my god. The Haymaker going to buy so much time, and now Flame, he's just chasing down Wango, who still has the flash, but Flash of the Wall from Total Riblet should secure him. Flash of the Wall from Flame wants to get the kill over, isn't going to do it, though. It's going to be the last auto going to Total Riblet. They find themselves a 2v2 kill in the top side, and the map has been flip-flopped on its head.
It's flipped a little bit, that's for sure. I do want to talk about what happened bot lane, because curiously enough, Suwu and Sleek died while burning almost no sums. Neither flash nor heal used by Suwu to keep himself alive. Sleek also decided to die instead of burning flash. I think that was questionable from those guys. But because that happened, because 2 kills went over to Valencia, ImPerium already had a winning bot lane. Valencia and King Rolly should be so ridiculously strong now in the 2v2. Suwu and Sleek will probably be totally shut down moving into like 5-6 minutes into this game, especially if Viper can find a successful gank here, because Sleek and Suwu don't have vision in that bush.
Oh, it is a successful gank, my friend. The Facebreaker onto Sleek should be him going down, but there are the 2 flashes invested that we didn't see earlier, actually saving the life of this bot lane for now. And I wanted to very quickly touch on the fact that, like you mentioned, Valhexia, he gets this early kill participation. He gets to pop off early, and I'm excited for this player because last game, it felt like he was shut out of the game so early on that we really didn't get to see anything out of him. Now, with a lead on Caitlyn Lux lane, I feel like this player is really going to be able to show us the strong stuff that they're made of, and maybe even turn around and carry a game for ImPerium Academy.
Yeah, we'll see. Could end up happening. Top lane, Dwango looking for a trade onto Flame. The good news for Stardust Crusaders is that Maokai top is basically a free lane for the Vladimir. Like, Flame should be allowed to more or less free farm for free, and that'll be super nice for him moving forward into this game, because you basically all you want out of your Vladimir is for him to have perfect CS, right? If he can just hit every last hit, and have a decent amount of gold, that's perfect. Now, looking towards the bot side of the map, Total Riblet repaying the favor, looking for a gank here.
Yeah, there's still Light Binding available, though. Valhexia gonna burn the heal here. No slow landing onto him either. Means that it looks like he and Rolly are gonna be able to get out, but Suwu, he gets the traps onto Rolly, and this should be the Lux going down. It's gonna be a little bit of time bought by Protector, and now Viper is here. They want to turn this around. Suwu gonna eat a haymaker to the face, and Sleep goes so low, but now Suwu, he's walking forward, just needs one more auto. In the top side, we're gonna see a little bit of a brawl here, as it looks like Spectator Client has decided that there's really nothing going on the bot side, and they're totally right. Everybody walks away just fine, and it's really just Suwu picking up the 1 kill onto the Lux.
And worth noting is that was another fight going down in the bot lane before Valhexia and King Rolly actually got a time to recall and spend that gold. So now Valhexia, he recalled, picked up a BF sword, he's going to be really strong. But for that fight, he really wasn't seeing any of the benefit from those earlier skirmishes, and it gave Suwu a chance to get a kill. So now the bot lane for Stardust Crusaders is back on the board. They are back online, and the gold between these teams is back to basically dead even, which is not necessarily where you want to be if you're Imperium, right? Because Imperium had such a strong start. They got those first 2 kills in the bot lane. Valhexia had such a big lead, and now that lead is more or less gone. Both AD carries now on a recall, on first recall, picked up BF swords. So Suwu and Valhexia are at the same item spike right now. I think that's really good for Stardust Crusaders. I think that was a big misplay from Imperium to sort of allow another fight to happen bot lane before Valhexia got a reset off. Now looking mid lane, this is the mid lane gank you were talking about. Arch too far forward.
Oh yeah, the flash gonna be forced out of him, and it looks like that's all the Stardust Crusaders want, as they back completely off. No summoners invested from Total Riblet or Hondor there, and I feel like that's really good. Getting the flash off of Orianna allows Zed to have a lot more kill pressure without actually committing fully to the kill. But it looks like that's going to be in trade for knowing where the Sejuani is, the dragon on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, sure, getting the flash from Arch is huge mid lane, but if you're not gonna do anything with the pressure, what's the point, right? You get pressure mid lane. We talked about how pointless the top lane matchup is, how it doesn't really make sense to gank, honestly, for either of these guys. Well, that's exactly what Riblet is doing, is he's trying to set up for a dive onto the Maokai, and sure, maybe this will end up working out. Flame is going for it, but you lost the dragon for it.
This totally works out, though. I mean, Flame has so much damage right now. Total Riblet has soaked up XP for so long, and actually, surprisingly, no kill coming in yet. It looks like Vladimir is going to be able to finish it off, though. Flame should get a kill in his pocket here as he chases Dwango through the alcove. Is this the alcove kill I've always dreamed? I never understood why they added these, but clearly it was for moments like this, where you're trapped and you have nowhere to go. You finally get to be taken down by the opposing laner, and it feels so good for the Vladimir. There's nowhere for the Maokai to walk away, and Flame's going to be able to perhaps even push in another wave here, because Dwango doesn't have teleport.
Yeah, actually, Flame almost has enough gold to back and pick up a proto belt if that's what he decides to go for. Now bot lane heavy trading.
Yeah, Valhexia actually taking an awkward trade here. He's going to get exhausted and might be taken down here. Going to be the 1-for-1 as the exhaust comes in and actually makes that trade super even. Hunter, he's trying to take down Arch, but doesn't have the damage just yet. It's just the serrated dirt for him and not nearly enough to take down the Orianna at this point of the game. We mentioned Orianna doesn't really lose lane into a lot of folks, and certainly not into Zed right now. Is going to be able to survive that ultimate. Now Hondor with a lot less kill pressure.
Yeah, a lot less kill pressure, although Arch is pretty low, and low HP in and of itself creates some kill pressure. But yeah, like you said, Deathmark being not available for a while, definitely a little bit spooky. But I do want to say Arch, I don't think he's playing this 100% right in my mind. If you're an AP champion, a mage like Orianna, sure, you want to build Lost Chapter first, I get that, but if I'm the Orianna, I'm 100% building Seeker's Arm Guard early into a Zed. That item provides so much of value that it just makes it so there's no way that the Zed can 1v1 you, especially if you have a defensive summoner spell, but even if you don't, right? He's got a teleport instead of a barrier, instead of an exhaust. If I don't have barrier, I don't have exhaust versus a Zed, I'm 100% building a Seeker's Arm Guard. He didn't opt to do that. It's a little bit risky. It could end up paying off, but it might not.
Ooh, yeah, and actually speaking of a little bit of risk there in the bot side, it's King Rolly walking forward. Suwu already lost a trade, but it looks like they're looking to trade some health back as King Rolly takes a big chunk. Rocket's going to do a lot. Extending that range for the Jinx actually allows her to contest the Caitlyn on some of these, and now the escape from Suwu going to be completely cut off. Flash away, but it looks like the flash is going to be committed by Viper, and he picks up the Jinx, suplexes her back towards his team, but she is dead before the fight well and truly continues. But now Flame in a little bit of trouble in this top side, needs to survive through the burst here, is going to be able to get away, and now Total Riblet looking for the kill on Arch. No flash on this Orianna means that she is dead, and that is the payoff from earlier. Hondor gets himself a kill, and Flame survives on the top side.
Yeah, nice gank bot lane from Viper to pick off Suwu, but mid lane Riblet returns the favor. A 1-for-1 across the map, and now it's King Roly, who is very far forward here. Seeing a collapse come through from Hondor and from Riblet. Top lane also more heavy trading. Dwango is quite low.
Yeah, he needs to be pretty careful here. He's going to have the sustain that the Maokai is known for, but there's a lot of gold on Flame right now, and has a lot more sustain, I dare say, than the Maokai. He's one of the few champions who can really contest him in that area, and that's going to mean that Flame is going to be able to continue to abuse the low health pool of the tree in the top side and be able to control the wave as he sees fit.
Yeah, I think the game is in a fantastic spot right now for Stardust Crusaders. It's been a relatively slow early game, relatively even early game. And we talked about it, but Stardust Crusaders have such insane scaling options available that an even early game, in my mind, heavily favors them. Now bot lane, Viper looking to punish Suicidal again for not having flash, but the Chompers are enough. Viper can't push that.
And this is the problem sort of with set jungle, especially into Lulu, is that you really have no ability to get on top of the AD carry without something like your flash. Has already burned it, ganking that bot side once, and now just shows bot once again for free. Fortunately, Total Riblet not on the map to punish it, but it looks like with the Hex Flash, he's trying to find Hondor. There's so much ability for the Zed to get away, though the lanes are so slippery that I don't think we see a kill for a while.
We don't see a kill, but Hondor has been forced out of lane with low HP just as Dragon is spawning. This might be the opportunity Imperium need to sneak in, to swoop in and take this sucker away. But both junglers are bot side. Numbers advantage currently in favor of Imperium, but they gotta act quick because Hondor will be back before too long, and he'll have Deathmark, he'll have Ignite, he'll be strong as heck.
It looks like Imperium want the kills in the bot side to really secure the priority around Dragon. Flame's teleport's ticking down though, and Dwango Unchained has his as well, has already burned the ultimate. They could look for a fight in the bot side because of the ultimate disparity as well as the teleports being available for both top laners. There's going to be the Glacial Prison into the pit, delay it for a little while. The Mega Death Rocket not going to secure the Dragon, and now Total Riblet, he wants the kill on the backside of this. King Roly not going to find the binding, and it's going to be net just a Dragon give over. Despite the fact that Stardust Crusaders could have contested it, they decided not to. And this is looking a lot like game one, where they give over 2 dragons and they feel comfortable.
Yeah, you know, I will say, you mentioned that Flame had teleport, and you could have made it to the fight. That is true, but Flame also had 2,300 gold, and really wanted to recall and buy his first item, which is a Spellbinder. So now he has that. He's feeling a heck of a lot better about picking fights, but I understand him being like, hey, let's just give this one away, because I am still a Vlad that is level 10, going to level 2 alt yet, don't have first item yet, I'm not really that strong, even if I'm winning this lane.
Yeah, and I mean, now that he's been able to cash in on that, has a 40 CS lead at this point, and should be able to bully Dwango, who has picked himself up some magic resist to speak up, but as you mentioned, is that free lane really paying off dividends for Stardust Crusaders? Flame has been able to succeed, maybe not in the explosive fashion that he had in game one, but in, I want to say, even more, in an even larger way, because this Vladimir is going to be so much more impactful than the Aatrox late game. There is a ticking time bomb. Riblet, though, going to be caught out. There's the Hemo Plague, and it might be enough damage, but he still has the Haymaker ticking on Viper to be able to save him, and Flame should know this, shouldn't want to chase under the turret, and I was sweating a little bit there. I didn't want Flame to throw his lead away. Looks like he will just secure the blue buff instead, take that one away from the Orianna and into the pocket of the Vladimir, who, as we mentioned, is already feeling good. Hondor, though, being searched for, is just going to take a chunk, and Orianna doesn't want to poke her head in too far to her own jungle.
And now the repeat gang coming through top lane.
Yeah, no vision in that brush means that Dwango is going to be well and truly caught out. Flame going to be able to poke him for I don't know, like a little bit of damage right now, but it's really going to be once Total Riblet CCs and the actual damage starts to come in. Tides of Blood is going to be able to do a lot of work, and I wonder if they get the kill here. Arch 1v1ing Hondor, though, on his own, gets the solo kill in the mid lane, and now Viper, looking to zone Flame away here, is not going to find anything, but they are going to keep their top laner alive for now, and I'll call that a win for Imperium.
I like the roam up from King Rolly though. Him being there basically means that Stardust Crusaders can't really look to do Herald, even though not gonna quite find it. It was close. It was close. But the nice roam from King Rolly at the top side of the map kept Stardust Crusaders from getting their hands on the Herald when otherwise they probably would have been able to. Ooh, what are you doing, Flame?
Yeah, the Super Mega Death Rocket not finishing off the Maokai, but Flame wanting to go for it himself, doesn't get picked up under the tower, and might actually be able to get away from this. Flash forward from Viper, not going to secure.
Missed it!
Flame, he's got that sustain, has got the ability to walk away from this fight, gets himself the kill, and I think that's even an assist going over to Suicidal just because of that rocket.
And Viper missed the Flash Haymaker. He almost got the shutdown, which honestly might not have even made it worth it, but it would have been something. Anyway, but now Flame gets out scot-free. He picked up another kill for himself. He's still building that 40 CS lead. He's almost got a second item finished. He is so strong on this Vlad. I don't think you're overstating at all to say that his lead this game, top lane, he's playing almost as well, if not better, than he played in game 1. He is very well positioned to start carrying this game, but for now, he is still a relatively early game Vladimir. Hodor, I don't know if you want to take that shadow, bro.
Yeah, he's not going to be feeling super good about that, especially with, finally, as you mentioned, Orianna being able to pick herself up. The Seeker's arm guard is going to be not feeling as much hurt from the Zed as she's going to be putting down into him, especially with her solo kill lead there. And Suicidal now feeling comfortable in this boss side to really push in, but he's going to be caught binding and taken down. You mentioned the binding me in that sentence. It really, really is. By roaming up this top side, Flame should be able to get away. Has the Hemoplague, has the pool, is going to buy him a little bit of time even though he's rooted up. There's the sustain coming in from the blood, and Flame going to be able to dodge out on the Haymaker under the turret as well. Absorbs a lot of pressure in this bot side.
So much time spent top lane from Imperium trying to keep Flame in check and so much failing. You mentioned Viper shouldn't really want to play around the Maokai. There's no point in it. They don't have the damage to actually kill Flame, but he's trying anyway. Now mid lane, a nice Glacial Prison. Arch is going down.
And good waiting on the flash there from Hondor. Is going to trade his life ultimately because well played by Arch, but I like the punish in the mid lane for the side of Imperium and not Total Rebel. He's looking to kill King Rolly. I think he honestly can.
Oh yeah, I think King Rolly's dead. Exhaust.
Speaking of dead, in the top side, Flame gets himself a kill. Super Mega Death Rocket not going to find one on Rolly, who finds the trade with the snipe on the last spark onto the Sejuani.
Another trade, but another kill onto the Vladimir. 3-0 now for Flame, and he's got teleport, so he will be an ever-looming threat, an ever-looming presence on this map that Stardust Crusaders have got, or that Imperium have got to deal with, have got to reconcile with before they can look for any play basically anywhere right now. Flame having free reign over this top side. He defies another 1v2 to get his own kill, get first turret of the game picked up for Stardust Crusaders. First turret on a Vlad in a 1v2. Flame is ridiculously strong. Ooh, Ubu.
Yeah, he got a little bit too excited in that bot side, but piloting the Heartseeker Jinx is going to be able to escape that one. And it looks like we had a little bit of a disconnect there, and I'm not sure what has happened because we are on a 3-minute delay, and there is the pause. It looks like they're still fixing it. So as we sort of go into this pause, I want to take a moment to talk about the game state, because we had mentioned Stardust Crusaders, their draft a little bit questionable, but it feels like at this point of the game, we're approaching the 19-minute mark, and it feels like they're going to be able to make it 25 minutes pretty convincingly. Flame, honestly, is crushing it right now, and really the hope is around the rest of the map for Academy. But as we sort of get later and later into this game, are there still situations where Academy can win fights?
I mean, yes, there's always hope, right? There's always a chance. And this game is still relatively close. But you take a look at the gold gap, it's a 1,000 gold lead for Stardust Crusaders. And I don't think that is a great indicator of how far ahead Stardust Crusaders actually are. Because we kept talking about it. Stardust Crusaders have a strong early game, or have a strong late game comp. They scale incredibly well. And perhaps their strongest scaling option is ridiculously ahead. Flame is undoubtedly the strongest champion in the game. Now, that being said, are there still ways for Imperium to get back in this game? Absolutely. They are threatening Dragon Soul in like 6 minutes if they can pick up this dragon. And guess what? Bot diff is real right now. Sulu is not weak. He's doing okay on the Jinx, but there's a 40 CS difference between him and Velexia, as well as a 2-level difference. Velexia is very strong. Arch is also stronger mid lane than Hondor. He is approaching a lot of strong power spikes. He's going to have his Archangel stacked up pretty soon. He's going to have Zanya's picked up relatively soon. Once Arch has Zanya's, Hondor is basically not a threat at all to him. That's going to be massive. And Seraph's is going to make him very tanky to Zed's burst as well. Flame will have a hard time one-shotting him through Seraphs. So there are some big spikes coming through for Imperium in the near future. I think dragons are going to be crucial. Eventually, the game goes long enough, Imperium are going to be outskilled. I don't think they're there yet. This dragon is very important. Next dragon is very important. For now, it's actually the Crusaders who have a favorable position on this dragon. But teleport is available for Dwango. I don't think you want to give this away if you're Imperium.
No, and it looks like it's going to have to be Viper contesting for it. There's the teleport from Dwango. Hondor, he's waiting in this bush, wants to try and take down the Set before he can do anything. There's the suplex in, but Set is taken down. No jungler means no dragon, and King Broly should fall very quickly after this. Total Riblet going to be able to stack up that permafrost. Vlad, though, in the meantime, shuts down the Lux, and it is going to be traded back on by this Orianna onto Suicidal, who, as you mentioned, is not that strong right now, but there's the flash forward from Riblet. Riblet just needs to enable Flame for a little bit longer. Going to be able to take down Arch here in just a minute. The smite going to secure it. Total Riblet grabs himself that kill. Then Flame, he's hungry for this Caitlyn flash forced out of Alhexian net back, but the jump forward from Riblet, the Arctic Assault, might be able to find it. There is the ace in the hole, not going to connect through Flame, who has the sustain to not get that low off of this, but the dragon that we talked about, so crucial for Imperium Academy, taken away.
It was a close fight, but ultimately Imperium lost it. And I think that if Imperium do end up losing this game, I think that will have been probably the turning point where Imperium went from favored to no longer favored. That dragon fight was very important, and Imperium losing it certainly means that they are now going to be on the back foot. They can still win. They still have strong options. They still are hitting item spikes, right? Arch is going to be very strong with those 2 items finished. He just got the Zanya's picked up. He's going to have Archangel soon. There he is, finally fully stacked as I was speaking. Second item almost picked up for Velexia as well. Like, these guys are strong, but they aren't going to be strong for long enough, right? Flame is ridiculously big on the Vladimir. He's picked up a Magi's as well, which is currently at 10 stacks. So he is going absolute full mad lad right now on this Vladimir pick. Bot lane as well. Sulu starting to scale. You know, we've been seeing the bot lane trades happening back and forth this entire game. And Sulu is down in CS, down in gold, but still trading relatively evenly. He's been doing pretty well. With the Lulu on his back, Sulu and Sleek are fairly strong. They're having an impact in these fights. And as time goes on, their impact is going to grow, and Imperium's impact is going to slow down a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. Now, I think Imperium's best win condition is still Dragon Soul. I think next Dragon, they're going to be in a fairly good position to fight over it, right? They got those big item spikes coming through from Arch. They got big item spikes on the horizon for Velexia. They'll be in a strong spot for next Dragon, but the one after that is the one that I'm most concerned about for them, because that's when the item spikes are going to be coming through big time. Oh my god, I should have said something about that. I didn't expect Hunter to die there. He died with everything. He had his ult up, his flash, everything.
I don't think he expected to die there either, honestly. I mean, Arch is just completely outclassing him in the side lane at the moment, and there needs to be an adjustment from Stardust Crusaders as we continue into this game. There's zero way that Hondor actually feels good into Arch. Right now, you need to have Flame actually side laning against this Orianna, because right now it is not a situation like last game where nobody can really side lane against the Vladimir. Orianna going to be able to match him a little bit, but it's only going to be for a little while, and Flame has the kill threat, whereas Hondor just does not.
Oh yeah, especially with the Zanya's completed with the Seraph stack, there is no way Hondor can ever win a 1v1 right now against Arch. Like you said, Flame, maybe another story, but Arch is strong. He is on par with Flame. He's actually ahead in items, and he's the same level, and he's about the same CS. So these guys are both at a pretty similar threat level. I think, you know, a big shockwave could turn a team fight one way or the other right now, and I still think, you know, Stardust Crusaders are in sort of a weird spot where Hondor is just not online on the Zed. He's really struggling to have an impact, which is not unexpected because he's not an experienced Zed, and the team he's playing it into is very good at dealing with Zed. So that's not unexpected, but Suwu is still not really fully online yet. Over the wall, Glacial Prison, but Velexia should be just fine.
Yeah, ooh, the binding there, going to be able to chunk out Suicidal just a little bit, but as I say that, it looks like he's completely full health after that. Not even tickling him is that ultimate from Lux. The final spark is really not so
Flame has been a bad spot.
Oh, he is, but I mean, he's Vladimir. He's got a 3-man Hemoplague right now, and I feel like it's everybody else who's in a bad spot as Viper gets taken down, and King Broly going to be shut down as well, and Flame is not the one trapped in here with you. You are trapped in here with him. He takes down 2 members with the support of Total Riblet. Orion is going to be denied access into this mid lane for just a little while. Stardust Crusaders, they find themselves the fight. They find themselves the mid lane turret, and they continue getting ahead.
Yeah, I misspoke big time. I thought Viper was Dwango. I was like, this Maokai gonna twisted advance to Flame and shut him down. But Flame had other ideas. A flash into a nice 3-man Hemoplague, and he wipes the fight. That's 3 kills for Stardust Crusaders. And not only do they get 3 kills, they got a turret. They're about to get a Baron. They are going to burn down this big purple Baron Nashor. It's taken a while. They might actually lose Dragon for it. I think that's okay. That's not the worst trade in the world, but it would have been nice if they could have found a way to get both. I'm actually not sure how I feel about that. You know, Baron is obviously really nice, but this Dragon is pretty important for ImPerium. It puts them at soul point where they can actually threaten something that might win them the game.
Flame recognizes that he's teleporting and he's got the flank here. No Hemoplague just yet, but it is a matter of time, and Sejuani just needs to get close to this dragon. There is no steal as the Lux manages to secure it, but the fight looks like it's going to go in the favor. Oh my god, a beautiful final spark actually turns it as Velhexia, he's on the side here. Flame does not have access to the back lane. He's burning down Dwango. In the meantime, Total Riblet, he's the one whose life is in danger. It's getting the Maokai traded. There's the Hemoplague, but Flame now has no real way to get onto the back line. Arch is going to be taken down though as the double kill comes in. Viper falling to the second proc of the Hemoplague, and Pondor, he flashes forward, gets himself the kill. Triple kill for the Vladimir, a shutdown for the Zed, and the Dragon, they lose it for Stardust Crusaders, but they get everything else.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's worth it. I'm definitely going to say that that's worth it, Diatrapa. I'll take a Baron and two team fight wins, and most likely an inhibitor turret, a mid lane turret, and the inhibitor for one Dragon that's not even a soul. The lead now for Stardust Crusaders is undeniably strong, right? And it's most of it is on Flame. That team fight for a second looked like it might be winnable for ImPerium. There were some good things happening. There were a couple picks onto Suwu, onto Sleek, but it did not matter because Flame was untouched and no one could kill him. And crucially, I want to point this out, very little grievous wounds, very little healing reduction on ImPerium. Only the Bramble Vest on Dwango. And how often is Flame going to be autoing Dwango? That's not his target. He's looking for these carries, right? There's no Morellonomicon on the Arch, which is expensive. There's no Executioner on Velexia, which is not as expensive. I really think this guy should have an Executioner. So I think that would go a long way towards maybe making these fights winnable for Flame. Also, we're at the point now, this Vladimir is online. Level 16, 3 items, fully stacked Magi's. There is nothing stopping Flame from one-shotting anybody on ImPerium. This game is all but over, I think.
Yeah, and it looks like, Arch's life might be all but over, and it looks like it's really going to be the butt there as Arch manages to burn the Zanyas, and Hondo are going to go down here just by a little bit of time for Total Riblet to maybe escape. Going to take the Blast Cone out, but I think that there's enough CC here to keep this big boar in place for a little while. Total Riblet, though, he has the Arctic Assault up in just a moment. It's not going to be enough, though. Shutdown for the set here means that they managed to take 2 Barons off the board, which is actually pretty huge when it comes down to it being the Sejuani as well as the Zed. And now they're looking towards this top lane where Flame, he is big chilling in the top side.
In classic Stardust fashion, just as they position themselves to end the game, they get a little bit too aggressive, give some kills away. Although this time, thankfully, it wasn't Flame, right? He's still sitting on a 1,000 gold bounty. He's staying safe in the side lane. But, you know, keep in mind, Stardust Crusaders, same as last time. Your top lane is very far ahead. The rest of your team, not so much. If Flame's not there, you probably don't want to fight. If Flame can't get there, you definitely don't want to fight. This is a team that needs to play around its Vladimir. Vladimir is the key scaling option, and really the only one who's big time online on this team. And if Flame is not there, if Flame's in a silent with no teleport like he was and is, then there's still windows for Imperium to find fight wins and to find picks. Or they can look to pick Flame in a side lane, which is a bit harder. Flame has got his Lulu pocket, but Dwango was thinking about looking for something. Flame is pretty fast in the Vlad. They're going to get himself out to safety. Make no mistake. I think a couple people from Stardust get caught out. If Total Riblet gets caught out, if Hondor gets caught out, that's fine. When you need to start freaking out is if Flame gets caught out. If Flame dies, everything can change. He is the one to watch. Anybody else dead doesn't really matter that much. Flame is basically the 1v9 king. If he's alive and somebody else is dead on Stardust, they can still win almost any fight.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly, I want to say that's what it feels like, but that's exactly what it is, really. And there's a little mini objective that's popped up for me that I want to keep my eye on and draw the viewers' attention to. That is Maokai's at 155 CS, and Flame is at 251 CS. And if he can pop that 100 mark, as it looks like we're actually starting a fight, so I don't get to talk, Valhexia is really going to be shut down there. There's nothing you can do about that. Too much burst as a double kill for Vladimir. Going to do it here. Arch going to be next on the menu. Flash forward. Remember, the Hemoplague should secure his death. And this looks like it's going to be the game-ending fight here. Triple kill for Vlad as he picks up the Orianna. Should be able to get the Quadra here, as King Rolly is not going to be able to stand up to this damage at all. Give him the Quadra. Oh no, it's going to be the stolen Quadra from Hondor. Might even be the stolen Penta, depending on who lands this last hit. And it is the stolen Penta. The Quadra kill for Flame. I see you, man. You deserved it. But instead, I think they'll take a game win here. Stardust Crusaders, they find themselves those final kills. Flame gets the Flame Horizon that I was leading up to, and I am a happy man.
They're on the board now. Diachapa, Stardust Crusaders are on the map. They've got their first Style Esports win in the books. That's big. That's awesome. Congratulations, Stardust Crusaders. And especially, I mean, is there any doubt as to who the MVP was for this team? Flame had a very strong performance in game one. A couple of missteps on the Aatrox, right? He got caught out a couple times, almost threw it away a couple times, but game two, he didn't die once. He had it's difficult to overstate how good Flame did this game. He did everything that could have possibly been expected of him. I think he did such a good job of playing just aggressive enough, not too aggressively. He never got shut down. He never got caught out. And he was just this unrelenting force in the top lane for Stardust Crusaders. Crazy performance from the Vladimir. He did so well.
And having watched this game, I'm so shocked that they've lost up until now, because their ability to play around a strong top lane really felt like it was created out of nowhere. Flame was able to get a lot of his own advantages, and they just shut out ImPerium over time. It's their first game of the season. I feel like it's a really rude welcome to them to just take them out of a game like that. Flame looking absolutely crazy, and really no other pressure points on the map, at least for that game, made me wonder how Stardust Crusaders were able to make it look so clean.
You know, I honestly, I think a big part of it was ImPerium Academy and not playing around their strengths. And I want to make this point, because I don't think I've touched on it enough. But generally, if you have a draft that has strong bot lane and a strong mid lane, and you're the jungler, you should be playing around the bot and mid. You should be playing around where you're strong. It felt like Viper spent a lot of time and wasted a lot of time playing around Dwango in the top lane, trying to shut down Flame, when that was just not realistic. Flame was ahead almost from the very start of the game, and even if he wasn't ahead, it's a Vladimir. You are a Set and a Maokai. How exactly do you expect to kill him? Play around your Orianna, Arch's strong mid lane, play around Valexia and King Rolly. They were stomping bot lane. They had a ton of pressure the entire early game. They were finding 2v2 wins, they were finding kills, they were doing a great job. I think Viper, honestly, I think he just spent, and as a team, ImPerium put too much priority on trying to save that losing lane and not recognizing, hey, our win condition, get Valexia strong, get Arch strong, play on the bot side of the map, carry through where you are strong. That's not what happened. Viper and Dwango wasted a lot of time in the top lane, ended up still being basically irrelevant, and Arch and Valexia, I felt like weren't allowed to pop off the way they could have if a little bit more care had been spent in making sure they didn't get ganked by Riblet, that they weren't getting killed by Flame. Because keep in mind, Hondor was really far behind which means basically the only dive threat onto Velexia and Arch early game was Flame, who was strong, but he was not that strong. And Set is a really good anti-dive champion. Flame tries to go onto the back line. Dwango and Viper can just deny him super hard in a team fight. If they're playing around Velexia, if they're playing around Arch, there should really be no way for Velexia or Arch to die early game. But yeah. I don't know. I feel like there were a lot of missed opportunities here from ImPerium Academy, that they drafted a composition to carry through the bot half of the map and then didn't play around it.
And I mean, remember that it is, of course, their first game of the season here, their first game at Style Esports. So as we continue to play in the season, I actually expect this team that looked really strong in their individual lanes to be able to start to play to those win conditions as they are challenged by teams like Stardust, Crusaders, who, I mean, this week looked really good, and I look for them to continue looking for these win conditions. This is the most that I've seen Flame participate in any game throughout all of their match history, so I think that they've really found themselves a groove that worked here. I'm looking for ImPerium to continue growing in style, and honestly, for the growth that we've already seen out of Stardust Crusaders to continue to pay off in dividends as we move forward in the season. But that's going to be all from us here at Style Esports. A reminder that you can follow us on Twitter, you can check out our Discord, and I would really encourage joining it because it allows you access to not only the announcements here, but all of the home of Style Esports if you perhaps want to compete as well. If not, we're going to be back here on Twitch with 5 Minutes Late versus Bucky's Atmosphere at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Monday. That is tomorrow, and perhaps we catch you then. See you next time.